What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. This is something I've been wanting to do for a while, so thanks for checking it out. Today we're going to look at 7 different creative and unique ways to get different sounds with a tremolo pedal. Today I'm going to be using the Empress Tremolo 2. I've had it for years, and to be honest, it doesn't get as much use on my live board as it should. When I play out a lot, I use the super amp behind me, and I have a tremolo circuit into it, so on the rare occurrence that I do use tremolo, I just turn that up on the amp. Now, that said, this pedal does get a lot of use for me in the studio when I'm working on ambient music or when I'm working on auxiliary parts for songs, and that's just because of the sheer amount of control I have on this thing. I'm going to go through the controls in a second here. First of all, we've got 4 knobs. First one is depth, which is basically a mixed control between the wet and the dry signal. All the way to the left, you've got the dry signal, no effect included. All the way to the right, you're getting all tremolo, which basically means that the lowest point in the sine wave of the tremolo, if you're looking at it closely, the lowest point has absolutely no signal passing through. So looking at the rate control, we have 2 functions of it. Basically, if you're in the tap tempo setting, you get 1-to-1, which means 1 quarter note tap equals a quarter note tremolo blip. Now, if we're in 3-to-4, you get, for 1 tap, you get a dotted 8th note. If we're in 1-to-2, you get regular 8th notes for every tap here. 1-to-3, you're going to get 8th note triplets. And then finally, 1-to-4, you're going to get 16th notes. And anywhere in between, you can get somewhere in between those values if you're not really going for a specific tempo with the tremolo. Now, when you're in the knob mode, this just functions as a basic rate control from minimum to maximum. If you're in preset mode, this switch down here is going to tap through up to 4 presets, I believe it is. I don't store anything on here just because I don't use it live. But that's a very useful function of it, and when I get my MIDI running board, hopefully in the next year, for sure I'm going to make use of that. The rhythm setting, number 1, is your most basic. You just have a constant rhythmic pulse. All beats sound the same. When you're on 2, the first beat is a big beat, and the second beat is slightly softer, so you kind of get a rhythmic da 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 da. At 3, I believe it's triplets, so da 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 da. 16th notes, and then you have a couple other combinations up to 8. The output is just the output of the pedal. So at 12 o'clock, you're at regular output. If you're using high depth settings, you're going to want to boost this a little bit, so that's why it's on here. And what's going to be really useful when we work here is the triangle, tube, and square waveform settings. Basically, it's, if you zoom in, you look at the sine wave in triangle, it's going to be a triangle wave. In the tube wave, it's going to resemble more of a traditional sine wave. And then square, it's going to be loud and then cut off immediately to silence. And so we'll be getting different uses out of those as well. Now, with the tremolo pedal, I have plenty of others over here that you see. And we're going to be using those in combination with the tremolo effect to get different uses out of it. And I'll go through each of those as we go in the sound clips. Hopefully I haven't scared you away yet with my technical talk. But anyway, if you enjoy this video at any point, make sure you hit the subscribe button and we'll get started. So today I'll be using this 2018 SG Special, which I unboxed in last week's video. You can find that here. And in that video, I kind of went over why this guitar is such a mess. But regardless, I promised I would use it in a couple upcoming videos, so this is what I'm using today. And then obviously into my Supro 1622 RT as usual. I have everything mic'd up through an interface properly. The first one I'm going to use, and a couple of these actually, are going to be using the tremolo pedal to kind of chop up the signal that I'm sending into it. So this is my Electro Harmonix Op Amp Big Muff, which I'm a huge fan of. You can also check out a video I've done right there. So a lot of sustain in the sound, and that's really important to send into the tremolo pedal. Now I like to use the square form just because it chops up the signal very cleanly, and I turn the depth pretty much all the way up, so there's no dry signal at all. And I'm on the second setting for rhythm here. This means that the first beat is louder and the second beat softer. It's just happening in eighth notes. So when you're using the effect like this on a square waveform with hardly any dry signal, you're going to get a very strong rhythmic pulse that the other musicians in the band, if you're playing with a group, can work off of, and it can kind of set the tempo for the song. So for sound number 2 here, I'm going to use the Old Blood Noise Endeavor's Dark Star Pad Reverb, and basically it's just creating a huge, lush ambient texture that I'm sending into the tremolo to kind of chop it up a little bit. The mode I'm using here is the delay mode, so the center setting for this toggle switch. If you want to check out my video from a few months ago with this pedal, check it out here. Basically, this pedal is going to create a very long form ambient reverb that it'll be sending into a delay in this mode. And from there, it'll go into the tremolo, and I'll show you how I'm using that. So I like to keep the tremolo 2 not completely maxed out, so we're having a little bit of dry signal popping through. It's just kind of adding a nice layer to the sound. The rhythm is set to the 4th mode, which is a strong downbeat followed by 3 16th notes of a weaker volume. So for number 3, I'm going to switch these two around. We got the tremolo going into the fuzz. And basically what we're going for is, if you look at the sine wave of a tremolo pedal, at the peak, at the top, you have an unaffected signal, which basically means you're getting your dry sound through. Now that goes into the fuzz, it gets compressed like crazy, and you get this normal, the normal fuzz tone you're familiar with. When it drops in volume, when the tremolo affects the signal, you're going to get a cleaner sound coming out of the fuzz because it's got less volume to work with. And as a result, you actually get the same volume coming out of the fuzz pedal, but you get varying degrees of distortion. So I'll show you that. So there's the clean signal. You can hear that on this one. I'm not chopping the signal up entirely. I'm still leaving a little bit of volume, and that's key here. So you kind of get like a vibey feel. So again, you're getting the same volume coming out of the fuzz, but it's just varying degrees of distortion. I think that's a pretty cool effect. So for number 4, I'm going to be sending the tremolo into an auto wah pedal. This is the Spatial Delivery by Earthquaker. A bit of a new pedal for me, and if you don't understand how they work, basically when you hit a note on the guitar or any instrument that you're playing, it sends a level of voltage through a filter in this auto wah. So depending on how loud or how much voltage that note has, it's going to tell the filter how wide it should open up. So if you hit the note quiet, it doesn't open quite so much, and if you hit it louder, it opens up all the way. On this pedal, it's really cool. You can set the filter to filter upwards in frequency or downwards. We just heard up, here's down. So when you use the tremolo and the auto wah in combination with the tremolo in front, the filter in the auto wah is not being decided anymore by your playing dynamic. It's being decided by the volume and the rate that the volume is changing, that the tremolo is deciding. So this gives a really cool time-based variable to the spatial delivery, and you can create kind of like a phaser effect with it. And the faster you set it, the more extreme it'll get. It might be kind of cool in the background of a rock song or something with plenty of other layers. If you just want to add something with a little bit more depth and add something that has a very wide frequency field to fill out other frequencies that might not be covered by a normal electric guitar sound, this can be a useful effect. So for number 5, we're going to create a synthesizer type effect that you're really not expecting to hear from a guitar. This is going to rely upon the Electro-Harmonix Freeze. It's a really useful pedal. Basically, it's a sample and hold effect. So whatever you play into it, when you hit that button, it's going to hold on to it as long as you want. So that'll go on for infinity if I decide to let it go. We're going to use the Electro-Harmonix Big Muff again now to add in some higher range frequencies to excite the harmonics a bit. Now finally, the tremolo, we're going to tap in a pretty fast setting down here and then use the rate control to speed it up even more. Now already I think that's a really cool effect. I'm using the square waveform and no dry signal whatsoever to give us that sawtooth synth wave kind of effect. And lastly, we're going to add in the spatial delivery. Now it's not going to react to the volume changes like we did in the last sound clip, but instead you can use it as a filter, as a constant filter, I think, like you would find on a synthesizer. And if we set it in the down mode, you get even weirder sounds. If you add in a delay, which is where we're going next, you can kind of get even more crazy synth style sounds. So for the next one, I'm going to start using a delay in combination with the tremolo, and we'll see what we can come up with. So guys, as we're going along here, make sure you leave me a comment down below. Let me know which one was your favorite so far. And if you haven't yet, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you like and subscribe. If you choose to subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can know when I upload, which is going to be every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Number 6 is going to use the Strymon Dig here. This is a digital delay, and we'll use the freeze again, and obviously the tremolo. Now I have the tremolo set to a very slow speed right now, and I'm going to use a maximum setting on the wet control so we don't have any dry signal leaking through, and we're chopping it up with the square wave. Now for the last one here, I have to apologize if you have OCD, but all my good wires are tied up in my pedal board and I'm not taking it apart just for a video. So I'm using a bunch of spare patch cables I have, and this kind of rat's nest is all I have to work with. What we're going to do is take the Nanopog by Electro-Harmonix. It's a octave pedal, and basically we're splitting the dry out and the affected out. So we're getting a bit of a sub-octave, plenty of upper octave, and we're sending it through the tremolo pedal. And then with the dry signal, we've got that maxed. We're sending it into the Old Blood Noise Endeavors pad reverb that we used earlier. Finally, we're going to match them up in the Big Shot ABY, which isn't necessarily the way that we're supposed to use this pedal. And we'll send it mono back into my amp. It's always good to have utility pedals like this around, especially when you're coming up with weird combinations. So we've got the affected signal right now. We're going to switch on the Electro-Harmonix Pog. So basically what you're getting is only the affected octave up and down signal through the tremolo. Now if we switch here, we'll be hearing the dry signal through the Dark Star, and then we're going to match it up and we'll play them together. So here's just the dry signal through the Dark Star. Now when we match them up together, I think it's really cool. It kind of gives a multi-dimensional sound. So you've got the octave up and down coming through the tremolo and kind of flashing at you, and the dry signal sustaining in this reverb pedal. Now I'm going to max out and get the Dark Star just to hold that note for me. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. 7 creative sounds and 7 unique ways to use a tremolo pedal. Again, this is the Empress Tremolo 2. If you did enjoy the video, make sure you leave a like and a comment down below letting me know which of the 7 sounds was your favorite. And if you feel so inclined, subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you know when I upload every Tuesday at 4 p.m. And I'll see you next week.